As a reporter on the national politics team for the New York Post, I often cover the Ukraine war from the Pentagon, as I have been doing these past 2+ years of this conflict. But I felt it was my duty as a reporter here to share what the truth is, what it's really like on the front lines here in Ukraine, with a ballistic vest and helmet, and doing my best just to tell the story of the Ukrainian people while hearing the sound of artillery and guns firing at me in my direction and in the direction of the troops that I was with. I'm about 5 miles from the front lines between Russia and Ukraine, and if you hear behind me, you'll hear a rumble. That's the rumble of artillery. It was the most powerful thing to be able to be there on the field with them, experience a sliver of what they get to experience on a day-to-day basis. But my trip wasn't just about military aid and whether the US should provide more Western weapons. It was also just about interviewing people and learning what it's like to live every day under threat that your democratic, free country could be destroyed. And I got to meet some really wonderful people, including a woman named Tatiana, whose parents' apartment in Kyiv was struck. It had been 2 months to the day since her father had been killed in that attack when she met with me. And she was so strong. She met me with this great smile on her face, and she showed me around the apartment that had been destroyed. They're doing the best that they can to clean it up. They're sweeping it. It's her childhood home. She grew up in this home. She spent 25 years of her life in that home. And now it's utterly destroyed. This is such a powerful experience to be in the midst of this strength. Random citizens, just everyday people going about their lives with the constant stress of possibly dying in the back of their minds. A lot of my reporting here has focused on the advancements of Western weapons and what those advancements give to the fighters in Ukraine. While Russia is using Soviet-era equipment and whatever they can get from rogue nation allies, the Ukrainians have these Western modernized systems that have been proven on the battlefield already by taking care of its troops inside, not just focusing on destroying the enemy. I'm standing here by a U.S. Marine Corps Cougar, and it was hit by a mine, which totally would destroy most vehicles. But look at just the damage here. It looks like all they have to do is change a tire. Of course, that's a joke, and there's a lot more to do, but this vehicle and its ability to stay intact kept Ukrainian soldiers alive. This story that I wrote about US vehicles, Western-made weapons, saving the lives of Ukrainian soldiers turned out to be more than true just a day after I left the front lines. I received a message from a commander of a military unit with which I had embedded. He said that the day after I left that unit, where I was touring these MRAP vehicles, which are mine-resistant vehicles that can be used on the battlefield to move troops and evacuate troops safely without being destroyed or killing the people inside of those vehicles because they are so heavily armored.
I was just in the tower behind the machine gun. He just started shooting, got the hang of it. And then bang, bang, a lot of smoke and explosion. My eyes went black.
He had survived an attack by Russians in that MRAP vehicle while he was on a mission to save other troops. Not just him, but 5 people from his military unit were alive after sustaining an attack that otherwise could have completely killed them and all of the equipment around them. But instead, as they were riding inside this NATO standard vehicle, their lives were saved. While everyone inside was okay, thankfully, that vehicle will still need repairs. And I also had the opportunity to tour several repair facilities across Ukraine in the undisclosed locations and see how that kind of works. I'm here in an undisclosed location in Ukraine where, under the cover of darkness and in freezing temperatures, the Ukrainian armed forces are repairing a lot of the
tanks and vehicles and, like you'll see behind me, the artillery weapons that have been destroyed on the battlefield. Here behind me, I'll show you the extent of the damages that they're actually repairing to get these vehicles back on the battlefield. This vehicle here was hit by an anti-tank missile and exploded. Took the entirety of the car off.
Without supplemental funding, they don't even have the ability to repair a lot of these machines that the US has already sent that are worth billions of dollars, just because they don't have the spare parts. So they do the best that they can, and they have what they call a vehicle graveyard, and they kind of take parts from different systems that have been taken out by Russian militaries, and they piece the pieces back together. They take one working thing from one vehicle and put it with another, and they create their own spare parts. But eventually this will run out.
Without additional US aid, they will be unable to continue on. But what they're doing right here is taking what they have, taking parts from multiple different such artillery systems, and creating them into one.
You know, I ask soldiers on the battlefield, why do you do this? Why do you fight? I know that you want to protect your friends and family, but why do you, personally, risk your life in this war? You know what the majority told me? The Ukrainian values are democracy and freedom. I was blown away, because I dare you to ask any American what American values are, and those two words don't come up.
Support Ukraine, please, and thanks for your help.